everyone. It's Monday, March 8th, 2021 at 4 p.m. We're at the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting, and we're in the Robert Bob Kroll boardroom. Roll call.
Okay, Steve Kim,
Here.
Stacy Giomi,
Here.
Bobby Rader,
Here.
Mike Jones. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. If I could ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a few seconds afterwards. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I wanted to just take a minute, if you could remain standing. I wanted to recognize Desi Navarro, who was a longtime city employee and certainly the technical expertise behind these meetings that kept them running smoothly and efficiently. And unfortunately, Desi passed away this past week. Certainly send out all our thoughts and prayers to his family. And if we could just bow our heads in a moment of silence, I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. At this time, Jordan, I'll ask for any public comment. The public is invited at this time to comment on and discuss any topic that is relevant to or within the authority of this public body.
There's no public comment at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on. Possible action, item 5, approval of minutes. If there are no corrections necessary, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Aye.
Got me. I was on green. I'm supposed to be on red. It's got me all confused. Anyway, anybody see any reason to move the agenda items as they're published? Hearing none, we'll move it as it is presented. That'll move us on to items 7 and 8, the consent agenda. Does any member of the board wish to have any individual item pulled from the consent agenda for individual discussion? Does any member of the public wish to have any individual item pulled for individual discussion? Hearing none, if I could get a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda passes. On to item 9, monthly non-action items for presentation and discussion only. David?
Thank you, Chair Jones. For the record, David Peterson, Executive Director with the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority. So the first update I have is a quick update on the V&T Railway. Last week, we had our first of 2 strategic planning workshops right here in this building. Next steps on that, we're going to be sending out a survey to various stakeholder groups, including residents, visitors, past riders of not only the train, but also the rail bikes, as well as tourism partners. And a quick update on rail bikes. Right now, we are hoping between the 3rd and the 17th of April to start up the rail bike operations for the 2021 season, just pending final contract amendment negotiations with Freedom Rail. And one of the changes, and I think this is actually a good thing as we move forward, Freedom Rail is actually going to be assuming all the operational responsibilities for the rail bikes, and that includes the marketing, the ticketing, as well as the on-site monitoring and security with the closed caption TV, I guess, cameras, for lack of a better word, up there. So pretty excited to get this going. We know there's a lot of demand for the rail bikes and to bring the operations back. So quick update on the V&T Railway. Second thing, and I want to give some thanks here for Lydia while I was out for putting together the 3 grant requests that were prepared and submitted to the Nevada Commission on Tourism last month, totaling $11,187, and of course, we have a match on that. And those 3 grants are for April through June, and those 3 grants are for a Nevada Expedia Group Recovery Co-op in conjunction with Travel Nevada, and hopefully several other DMO partners in the state, a Hulu advertising campaign as well, and that'll cover, and Lydia, if I say this wrong, jump in, but Las Vegas, I think Boise, and Salt Lake City. So we're excited, hopefully, to see that grant come to fruition. And then we also have some money in the 3rd grant for digital and social media strategy development. So we should know, I think, middle of next week, pending the Nevada Commission on Tourism's meeting, if any or all of those grants are in fact approved. So quick Kit Carson Trail update. So if the weather permits later this month, Public Works, who did an amazing job on the first 41 markers, will be putting in the last 7 markers that are on the state lands. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition, and then we're done, we're in, everything is ready to roll. A quick update, and in a little bit we'll hear from Gina in terms of where the BAC is at, the various tasks that were included in the contract with the BAC. But I'm very happy to say that last week, the Board of Supervisors approved the first reading for the continuation of the 1%. And thanks to Nancy for helping to get this process rolling and underway. The second reading, and it's due to some posting requirements and options with the newspaper, it will take place on the 1st of April is when the second reading will happen. Next day, Chris and I plan to release a job recruitment for the Arts and Culture Program Manager position with the CTA. And I have been working on that job description. And then Bobby has, our member rater, has been kind enough to take a look at that after I get kind of things tweaked a little bit on that and give me some feedback. And I'm anticipating some good response with it being a position. In fact, I've had 2 people in the last week reach out to me regarding it being an actual position, not a contract. So we plan to have CTA staff, a couple of the board members here at the CTA, and a cultural commission member do panel interviews. And then the chair and I will meet with the top 2 or 3 candidates, and we'll make an offer. Hopefully, I'm hoping by middle, maybe 3rd week of May, if all goes well. So the last update I have for everybody is the board vacancy for the other commercial interest spot. There are 2 candidates who are going to be moved forward, I hope, fingers crossed, at the next Board of Supervisors meeting to do their interviews. So hopefully for our next meeting, we'll be full, all 5 positions filled on the board. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions that the board may have.
Board Member Giammi?
Thank you. David, can you give us a status? I had somebody ask me, an acquaintance asked me about the gravel bike race in September, and I guess they're promoting it, which I wasn't aware of. So are we on? Are things looking good? Maybe you can give us a little status update on that.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Stacy. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at James here, who's been having the conversations with both Peter and Carlos, but we're planning on having this race take place in September, pending, of course, whatever the rules are and the guidelines that are in place, but we see it as a go at this point. But James, if you want to just talk about the last conversation you had.
We had conversations at the end of February to kind of discuss and kind of talk about where we are as a state in terms of the protocols. And so we're moving forward as if it will happen under the conditions that the permitting process goes through accordingly with Parks and Recs in the city.
So has he gotten approval from all of the, because I saw they're promoting the route. And it's an interesting looking route. I mean, it starts at Edmonds and goes out into the Pine Nuts and down towards Sunrise Pass and up Johnson Lane and then down to Genoa and then up through what I think is mostly private property, up into Clear Creek and back down Clear Creek and ending at Edmonds. So it's an interesting looking route. Do you know, has he gotten permissions across all of that?
From my understanding, he got permission to do that route last year.
Okay.
When it
Oh,
was supposed to happen in
right.
September. And so they're just moving forward with
Okay.
that conversation with them. Because we gave them all the contacts that we had for all the private residents.
Right.
And had them work that out. So from our understanding, that was cleared last year.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Okay, moving on to 9B, the transient occupancy tax, actual versus forecast. So in your packets on the big 11 by 17 sheet, I'm very happy to say that January came in much better than we had projected. If you recall, we had January down around 23%. I do know that this was heavily impacted by the traveling nurses program, so I want to be upfront. We benefited by that. If you all recall, they came in, I think, at the end of November. They were here for December, January, and then kind of rolled out, I think. And Steve, if I'm wrong, the first kind of week of February. So January, again, it was a very good month. I made just a slight downward revision in the sense that I took us from negative 23% to negative 20% for February. And then March through June is still the way I had it last month for right now. So if you track all the way to the right at this point, if you take a look at our just over 18 million projected for this fiscal year, that's about 1.85 million higher than what we had originally budgeted back in May when we submitted our budget to taxation. And we're tracking about 4.8% ahead of fiscal 20's actual as far as our forecast for fiscal 21. So if anybody has any questions, happy to address them at this time on the revenue side of things.
Any, I know it's early, any idea how February is?
We don't have a read on February's remittances at all yet. Yeah, unfortunately.
Thanks.
Yeah. Moving on to 9C, I'm going to turn it over to James to provide us with an update on events and sales.
Thank you. So I just wanted to recap. We had the Go West Summit, March 1st through the 5th. If you recall from our February board meeting, the focus was in terms of the target markets that we were trying to tap into was similar to what we targeted in 2020, which would be France, the UK, Japan, South Korea, and the appointments varied throughout the days all last week. And on the next slide here is the list of all the partners that we were able to have conversations with. From a personal standpoint, I thought that this Go West Summit was much more successful than the previous one, simply because there seemed to be a unifying challenge that we all had to face, and that happened to be COVID. And so the conversation veered from what are some of the things that our community is doing to be safe, what are some of the challenges that our state is facing, what are some of the challenges that these tour operators are facing in their own countries that they're living in. And it allowed us to find a middle ground fairly quickly. And with that, we were able to move forward with trying to promote and market Carson City as a place for them that would be desirable to have visitors come. And so the real work happens now, is this coming week, and the next couple of weeks will be the follow-up and starting to plan potentially fiscal year 22, fiscal year 23 for us, as far as trying to push some of these tour operators to book some and create some itineraries in our region. There were a few that were wondering if IPW, which is the big conference in Las Vegas, is happening, and if we are participating in that, which is something that David and I will be working towards with help with some of our partners, hopefully. But I would say that Go with Summit and some of these new contacts, these are not the same people that we connected with at the previous Go West Summit. These are, majority of these are fairly new connections that we've made. So I'm happy to report that there was good rapport. Now we just need to move along to the planning process and make sure that we secure some of these tours to this region.
James?
Yes.
The IPW, that's September?
Yes, yes.
No, I think that's an important one.
It's a big one.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
I would, like to talk to both you and David. I think that's something we need to attend, especially coming out of COVID and people getting more comfortable.
Yeah, and I think we'll have something to report maybe as early as April in terms of potentials and what we can do to participate in that. But it is a priority that we want to be involved in that.
And if I could just, Dave Peterson for the record, just add, I think we have a unique opportunity already in front of us. Post-IPW, the RSCVA has reached out to us and to the Nevada State Prison Preservation Society. I know there's a flight, potentially 30 to 40 tour operators, maybe, let me say 25 to 40 tour operators who will be chartered up here after IPW. And I'm hoping that we can get a half day with these folks. And there's already been interest expressed in bringing them out to the prison, since that's one of our new attractions. So, there may be a rail bike piece to this as well for Carson City. So I think we have the opportunity in front of us. It's in Nevada, it's in Las Vegas. So I want to see us be a part of the show as well. But I think it's even more important that we're a part of the post-IPW fam, where people are actually in our destination, and like I said, don't quote me on the 25 to 40, but it's a pretty good amount of tour operators who the RSCVA will be bringing up here. And I'm appreciative that they're thinking of us in Carson City, to engage those folks with some of our new attractions, because James can tell you this, tour operators love to know what's new.
Yep.
In a particular destination, right? And for us, we're still building that rapport, right? So as we head in, we'll have ABA next, but it'll be the first time we engage with some of those folks, on the tour operator, motor coach operator side of things. So to stay front and center with these folks is, I think, wonderful. NTA comes to Reno, then I think Go West is next year possibly, or in Reno as well. So we're going to have a couple of subsequent trade shows where they are right in our backyard, right? So what a great way to keep re-engaging with folks or new tour operators as well. So we're working on to your point, Chair Jones, about the budget. We have a meeting tomorrow internally on the FY22 budget. So we'll be definitely discussing and bringing some dollars in to be a part of IPW in the sense of the trade show and anything that's a post familiarization tour. So I'm excited about both opportunities.
Yeah, we actually talked to a couple of tour operators who are already committing to come to Go West Summit next year in Reno. And so we kind of brainstormed ideas for maybe a post-fam or a pre-fam. Just like this conversation is just to let them know that we are available to do that. The Stewart Indian School was a very popular storytelling opportunity, when they saw the slides and they saw the different stories, the whole story, the whole picture. It was a very unique one. Of course, the road bikes as a new offering was a very big deal for the FIT markets. Not a whole lot much changed in this slide here from our previous month. The Comstock shootout was canceled. We got a little bit more details as to why, but we're still in the dark, I would say, in terms of the actual reasons or further details. The Futsal Matchup League, the information that we had to send to BNI has been submitted, and we're just waiting for their approval. Hoping to get that sometime this week so that we can push forward with the execution of that event. Next month, we still have the trap shoot scheduled and the paranormal tours and LARP at the prison. So not a whole lot of changes for that. when we were in the process of actually submitting information to BNI for the futsal tournament, new directors came out with updated information, new criterias, and so I just wanted to update you guys to let you know that we are compliant with the latest. I know there's a Directive 39, but I think the biggest change on that one is just a change from recategorizing a sport from a high contact level to a mid-tier level. That was like the biggest change that I noticed on that. Coming up at the end of this month, we have a Virtually Yours travel show. This is in partnership with Travel Mo and one of our partners in Las Vegas. You're a Virtually Yours travel show. I've already sent some information to some of the lodging properties to see if they wanted to participate in that. We're waiting for some more details from our partners to see exactly the details in terms of the works that we have to do, but I just wanted to throw this out there that this is something that we are participating in at the end of this month. And that's it for the events and sales update. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. And David's being much too, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but
Nice.
not too.
Kind.
A lot of
important
things.
and mentioning that, the RSCBA and other, are keeping us in mind and keeping us, but that only happens is because we kept in front of them and kept engaging them. And I think I just want to thank the team, because during the period that we've gone through, the people who are going to be successful, the people that worked, never said that, COVID's here, we can't do anything, but you guys have done a great job of keeping us front and center. So, thank you.
Chair, the word you were looking for was informed or top of mind, yeah. With our partners, yeah. I was just saying what Member Giomi was thinking, yes. No, great, James, thank you. So can we switch out, and then Gina, Lydia's going to get your presentation set up. So moving on to 9D, which is the arts and culture update. So while Gina's getting ready, I'm just happy to say that, boy, she hit the ground running, literally, full speed on the day of our February meeting. And she's got some wonderful updates here on the different tasks, the six tasks that were included in the contract. And I'll let her talk through those, but it's been very exciting. We just had a person in the office today who is a muralist, who was inquiring and looking at specifications for the walls and asking about electrical outlets and all kinds of interesting questions. So it's a whole new world, at least for me personally, on the muralist side of things, but good stuff. Oh, it's frozen. Uh-oh.
I didn't do it.
It's funny, it worked when you were there though, James, and now it doesn't.
Chair Jones, could I make a comment before we start on that? Could I make a comment? Over here. Oh, I just wanted to say that there was an international study done recently that showed that museums are one of the safest places during COVID. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that is something that we can promote, and especially our little museum. So
Very fitting, Bobby. That's wonderful, because that's the messaging that I've been trying to get out as well. A lot of conversation about outdoor recreation, but with the museums reopening, the state, you guys plus the two, talked a lot about the safety protocols that our businesses, including the museums, have put into place, and it's safe. Go, enjoy, have fun. Okay, with that, Gina, do we feel we're ready?
Yes,
Oh,
I think
perfect.
so.
Okay, go ahead, Gina.
I think so.
Just so-
I'm Gina Lopez, for the record, and I met most of you last month and been working on this for a month now as Arts and Culture Coordinator, and just wanted to give you a quick update. The first task was coordinating with the First Lady for the First Lady Presents exhibit. We haven't made contact yet with this. We're hoping to do that mid-March and start discussing the next
Now I got it right.
And start searching for and discussing the criteria for the next artist for that show. The second one is what am I looking at? Is it this one?
Yes.
Okay, thank
then
you.
that
I was
zero
looking,
on
I was looking at the wrong ones. I apologize. I'm new here. I'm private sector. Still private. So we're working with the Cultural Commission at updating the guidelines for the redevelopment money, the $25,000. We're looking at, I've been in discussion with a couple of the commission members, and we are looking at making that more incentivized for new projects coming into the community. So that will be discussed right after this meeting today, actually, I think. Next, the Taking Flight exhibit that happened at the Carson or Reno Tahoe Airport last year. We are looking at, I talked to the airport general manager, and we are looking at the possibility of May of this year in the lower concourse. A smaller gallery in the B concourse. So I expect to hear confirmation of that any day now. As far as the murals go, we have 2 murals that we're working on simultaneously. The first one is in coordination with the Rotary Club of Carson City and also the Visit Carson City, as well as the owners of the building, the Kaplans that Visit Carson City is in. And that RFP went out last week, and along with the second one, and we've gotten great response. It's been viewed and shared over 3,000 times now. So we expect to have a really good array of artists submitting work for consideration for both of these murals. Again, the second one, the first one is going to be outside. It's going to be a welcome to Carson City. You've seen them in other communities similar in the same spirit as the welcome to Gardnerville. So each of the letters represent aspects of the city. And it'll be viewed from the corner of Washington and Carson Street, so it'll be very visible there. And then the second one is right inside the Carson Visitors Bureau entrance. It's going to be an L-shaped entryway there, and we're really excited about what the artists are going to bring to the table there, you know, representing the past and present and future spirit of Carson City. Like David said earlier, I already met one artist there today to view the space, and we are encouraging. They're calling me to come and see the space and become inspired by everything we do. They're taking brochures, so we really want to keep it with the spirit of Visit Carson City. And meetings are going to be conducted later this month and into April with all the stakeholders, really, the Chamber of Commerce, Carson City Lodging, and the arts and culture community and organizations. Any questions?
Board Member Giammi?
Thank you. Gina, thanks for the update, and thanks for jumping in with both feet so quickly. On the mural, it's just out of curiosity, where are they coming from? Where are you getting comments from? Are they local? How far is that reach going?
Well, right now, I really focused on local.
Oh, good.
Depending on what actually I hear, I'll spread the reach a little bit more. I've reached out into Reno a little bit. Lydia has helped, and our the marketing company has put out to the media outlets, but we're really focusing on local artists right now. The big reach that we got was actually from the Brewery Arts Center Facebook page.
Yeah. Cool.
So we have 6,000 followers on that. So a lot of it came from that. We're really hoping for a Carson City artist. It's very specific, especially the outside mural. It may not happen, but that's what we're pushing for.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Gina?
Thank you.
No, thank you, Gina. Great, and we'll let Lydia get set up here real quick. And Lydia's going to provide us with a wonderful marketing and PR update.
All right, for the record, Lydia Briggy Beck. I'm not sure which one to use at this point. So we'll go with both. All right, for the record, so thank you. We have a few things to talk about today. We're going to go over the Hulu final results. I'm also going to share with you the DMO website study findings from destination analysts that they conducted. We also have a PR report that we're going to pull out some of the press highlights from this month. So the Hulu campaign was completed. It ran for the full month of February, and we're pretty pleased with the results. It was as they had said they were going to deliver, and our cost per thousand CPM was right at your average for this type of online advertising. So for a $1,000 spend, we delivered 27,000 impressions. It stayed pretty consistent with the living room devices being 92% of where the ad was viewed, 3% computers, and 5% mobile devices. Over a third was delivered to comedy shows, and then drama, reality and game shows after that, and then family TV shows came in, rounding out our top 4. And then the other was spread out throughout their different genres. So the DMO website important study survey results. So you may have noticed on our website since last May, a survey popped up when you came into our site if you were a first-time visitor. Or on a different device. So Destination Analysts is the company that also did all of our research informing our brand. At no cost to us, they implemented this as a study to gather more information about the importance of DMO websites and visitor intent during the pandemic. So the survey ran from May through December of 2020, and they provided the final results that I'll share with you today. And you can read the paragraph, but ultimately this was to show the importance of the DMO website in general, but also during the pandemic and providing the information necessary for their communities. So the methodology behind it was very interesting. So it was an INSEP survey of website audiences. So they were surveying a few different categories: potential visitors, local residents, local businesses, meeting planners, travel trade, and media journalists. This was incorporated into our Google Analytics so that not only could they receive the questions and the answers from the questions, but also tracking them throughout our website and calculating their behavior. So they were gathering information about the reasons for visiting the DMO site, the information they were seeking out, the website analytics and their behavior, and then the metrics for measuring the importance of the DMO websites. And over 60 plus DMOs participated in this throughout the country. So the following data that you see here is collected from all of the DMOs that participated. And so it's not specific to Carson City yet, but it is very interesting. So when they asked the question, which of the following types of destination informations are you most interested in, that outdoor recreation was prevalent across the board. So it clearly shows that the outdoor rec opportunities continue to top the interest, followed by culinary and hotels and events. And this slide breaks down those categories based off of the respondent type. So all of them across the board were pretty consistent in that outdoor recreation was their number one priority when searching out information at the site. But you can see that local residents, potential visitors, and media's top priority was outdoor activities, but local business and special events and meeting planners and travel trade was looking for hotel accommodations. So across the board, when asked, when you're thinking about information and resources related to COVID-19, which of the following types of information are you specifically looking for, if any? So across the board, again, in almost all the respondent categories, they were the same in that they were searching for COVID-19 information. That was their main priority. But they were also looking for hours and restrictions and closures, except for meeting planners whose priority was hotel restrictions and closures for destinations. So overall, though, when asked how important is that our organization offer the information available on the site referring to COVID-19 information, for that question, a DMO website was most important to travel trade, followed by potential visitors, then local businesses and residents. So overall, as Dave would love to say, this is really providing and cementing that shift from a destination marketing organization to a management organization. And to give you a snapshot of the profile and the demographic profile of potential visitors, we were skewing 60% female, The average age was about 55, and 70% of them were married or partnered. So now we're shifting to our specific website information. So keep in mind, we are a smaller DMO in comparison to some of them that participated, so we weren't able to capture information from all of those profile categories like travel, trade, and media partners. So you won't see all of those categories, but some that are obviously quite important for us. So these are the visitcarsoncity.com results from the survey. So we're starting with potential visitors. And you can see that their main priority was finding things to do and places to stay. And you can see their average session duration was over 7 minutes, and they're visiting on average 5 pages per session. So overall, really pleased that we're capturing and engaging those potential visitors on our site. For local residents, their main priority was events and restaurants, followed by what to do. And you can see that based off of the top pages content on the right-hand side. You can also see where it says other on the left, or what channels are driving traffic. The other in parentheses is actually all of our paid media and our paid social content. So you could tell, even though we weren't spending a lot of money up front, those paid ads this latter half of the year were definitely driving our local residents to our site, which isn't a bad thing for us because they're the ones who are really promoting and engaging and building our community. So this slide here is breaking down the potential visitors only, and they were broken into 3 different categories, broken down into decided, interested, and considering visiting Carson City. So overall, you can see the organic search tops the traffic drivers, but it is promising to see our social traffic and our email traffic is driving decisions for people to actually visit Carson City. And this last slide here for decided, they're really focusing based off of their content when they're searching on the site of things to do. That really tops all of those 3 categories. It's really things to do. And I love seeing that hotels is number 3. So that top one where it's just visitcarsoncity.com with no route behind it, that's just our homepage, which is primarily where people land when they're Googling and getting any of our search ads. So for those who were interested in Carson City and visiting, they are looking where to stay and overall attractions, while on the considering side, Rail Bikes was an interesting outlier in comparison to the others. So I think that's definitely made a huge impact in getting new people to look at our site, definitely in a year of COVID. So overall, we found this to be incredibly insightful, and I'll be happy to send the whole deck of the findings of all 60 plus DMOs. It was over 80 slides, so I'm trying to consolidate for you as much as possible. But you've heard Erin, she was the one who did that 60 slide deck in 15 minutes. So they are concise with their information, and it's very valuable. So we're happy to share that if you'd like. Are there any questions on that before I move into the PR report? All right. So what a difference from the last 2 months that February was. So I'll let you read through all the individual categories and visit those if you'd like, but I'm going to pull out some of our most prominent ones here and share them with you. And before I do that, I also want to make note that you do have a Travel Nevada visitor guide in front of you that just came out, which I think turned out really beautifully. And we have some really wonderful mentions that highlight Carson City in a great light. And they've utilized some of our photo assets, in fact, a lot of them throughout the guide. And I think that our investment in those assets was valuable and very much worth it. So you can see for our February alone, our unique visitors per month was 34.4 million online. We reached 124.5 thousand people, and our publicity value for February was 48,400. So what were some of our highlights? Now that we finally have all of those markers in for the KCT, I call the KCT, the Kit Carson Trail, we're getting more press on that. And Getaway Magazine did a wonderful article on the updated markers, and they called that Memory Lane Modernized, which I thought was a really nice touch. And then hopefully if I can get out of this, I can show you the KNTV Channel News story that was also featured, the Kit Carson Trail. So a big thank you to Terry and Bill at Silver State Industries and to Andy Fant for this one, who helped with the press on this.
Political system. Without a deal, millions of struggling Americans are set to lose emergency unemployment benefits next month. Here in town, the Kit Carson Trail A walking tour of Carson City's historic west side got a bit of an upgrade in recent months.
We're going to show it to you. Our Chris Buckley is live along that trail this morning. And Chris, there are new markers in front of all the historic stops.
There are, Andy, brand new markers. This is what they look like. They're carved out of local sandstone from the prison quarry, and they're meant to kind of bring back this. This is an old carriage stone where people actually used to step in and off of when they got in and out of their carriages in some of the older homes along this trail. These new carriage stone markers along the Kit Carson Trail are a team effort.
You can visit Carson City Public Works, who put the markers in. They did you'll see a wonderful job on the concrete platforms, and they color coordinated the concrete to match the sandstone. The Historic Resources Commission.
Local inmates in the prison industries program spent months making them by hand.
The medallions that are downtown that you walk around in the blue lines, those were picked up. We polished those and cleaned them. We fabricated some plaques to put on the rocks to identify the historical mark, and then also offenders carved those rocks by hand.
Now their work is on display at nearly 50 historic sites in the capital city.
The offenders were really just jazzed and excited to be part of this program, and people can see it out there, and they're really proud of what they can do to send out to the community to see their work, because they have skills.
Some of the buildings along the trail are vacant. Others, like the Curry House, have owners that are passionate about the city's history and passing it along to visitors on the trail.
The house is haunted, so I have a spirit that puts their hand on my shoulder and tells me I need to go meet somebody. So I have met the great-great-granddaughters of the second family that lived here, and they didn't even know that their family had lived here. We had a great conversation. I meet wonderful people. Just leaning over the fence, and the spirit will just say, go talk to this person. So I come out and talk to people.
And you can find these new markers on all of the 48 stops along the Kit Carson Trail. It's about a 2.5-mile walk if you do the whole thing, and it's right here within steps of the downtown area, so there's shops, restaurants, bars you can check out instead, support some local businesses. We do have a link to the map of that trail on our 2 News website and our app. John and Andy.
Fred Smith here told us the B&H photo helped change.
So I think that was a really wonderful feature. And so big thank to our partners for that. We also had an article that was published where Dave did a great interview for the New Statesman, which highlighted some rural destinations who didn't suffer quite as much during COVID in comparison to other metro cities. And it was proven to be likely due to our outdoor recreation options. So that was a really interesting read, which really highlighted a lot of statistical information. And our favorite and bread and butter one we love to see, as Forbes online named Carson City the #1 destination in America to travel to avoid the pandemic. So there were multiple layers affecting this decision, and I think this is just a huge testament to our entire city. That's really helped keep Carson City safe and still operating, and clearly it's being noticed. So that was a wonderful thing to hear and receive, and Mike Jones, I think you have a couple things you wanted to say about that, or Dave, so I'll leave that open to you for you guys to discuss. But
Well, no, I just,
Thank you.
I mean, that was just wonderful for the city. I
Agreed.
had probably up to 5 people this past weekend at our property ask about it. People staying in
Wow.
our hotel saying that they saw the article and asking, our staff, where are the things we can do? Here's some of the things that we've heard.
that's great.
And just amazing that we're #1. I don't know how it gets much better than that.
I agree. Are there any other questions, or Dave, do you have anything?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask so I was on a quick trip to Hawaii recently, and I took I'm not trying to rub that in, but really.
How do I bring this up casually?
Really no way to kind of lead into it.
Hawaii didn't rank #1.
Carson
Carson City did.
No, I know.
Okay.
I know. No, I know I didn't. But I went there before our rating came out. Otherwise,
Fair.
I never would have left.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I was in Maui, and there's a drive, the road to Hana, and maybe some of you have done that. It really is great. But I downloaded an app that tied where you were on that road to broadcasts about what you were seeing and telling you where to stop. And so I'm leading into asking, in your opinions, if there's some value maybe in spending a little money and producing an app that ties to the Kit Carson Trail, and perhaps we sort of get some of our local thespians and artists to sort of talk about those buildings, and maybe, you know, in their voices, or maybe in Mark Twain's voice, or something like that. It just seems like, you know, without being kitschy, you know, that it. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there because I think there'd be some real value in that.
So I'll start, and then Lydia, you can jump in. So that's something, if you recall the MOPO folks, that's exactly what we're taking a look at. We're also looking at something for the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center and Museum as well, integrating exactly what you just said into that MOPO app that they have. So when you're out and about on the trail, yeah, it almost, I don't remember how the technology works, but when you're in front of that particular location, it brings up information and you get sort of is it audible, right, Lydia, I think?
I think so. I don't want to speak for them, and I'm not sure if there's a kind of a beacon pop-up that they have. We also were speaking with Travel Stories, who also Bobby was speaking with as well. Do you know what the app was?
It was.
Or was it branded by that area, by
No,
their?
it was, I don't remember I don't
okay.
remember it now. I have to, I'll try and figure it out. But
Okay.
They do several all around the state of Hawaii. And what's great about it is GPS linked. So as you're driving, it will tell you, coming up in the next 2 turns, you'll see a parking space off to your right, or a parking location off to your right. Pull over, get out, take the trail to the left and walk down about 100 yards, and you'll see blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
So it really
that's
is
nice.
very nicely done. But they talk about the history, and they talk about, so if you park there as you're parked, they tell you what to look for and what to expect, and you get out and you go do it. And yeah, it's really very cool. Even if it isn't GPS linked like that, even if it's just, you download an app, or you have a link on a already established app
Pre-existing.
that says, hey, enter the number 21, and it'll bring up the story of 21. But I think it would just be cool to have, to incorporate some of our local people, maybe, who, because we have a lot of history here. We have a lot of people who like to talk about history. And I think it would be really cool to tap into some of those people who could record what a given building is about. Bob Nyland, for instance, about the Mint.
The Mint,
Perfect example. Or Jed Block about, one of the other historic structures. I think there's just enough people around that could do that. And I think it would add some interest to that for folks who
Absolutely.
are, out and about.
I agree. That's definitely been something we've been kind of chatting about and figuring out the best way to implement that, because we do have some older audio recordings as well. We just don't have them for all of the sites, so it's hard to just pick and choose in how we want to implement that. So I think the better approach would be to re-record every single stop and just really make it a nice virtual experience as well. So thank you for the input. Absolutely.
And if I can just add one thing, Chair, incorporating some of the owners, like Andy did an amazing job. And you only saw just a small clip. Of course, hers was longer than my clip, and I don't know how that happened, but we're not going to be jealous about that. But yeah, just having the homeowner talk about the cool stories. Why did you choose to purchase this house, and you're making this investment in that property? So
Yeah, I think it's so much more inviting to be able to listen to something. I think people are less inclined to just wander around and read a story, when now we're so indoctrinated to having multimedia presentations that we can listen to, that it's almost the minimal level anymore, and so I just think it would bring it to life.
Agree.
we agree 100%.
I think it's a great idea. I think people, and like you said, there's plenty of people that can do it. There's plenty of people that would be happy to do it here. That they, it reminds me of chair or board member Rader, who was kind enough to give me a tour of the Stewart School, and there were several interactive stops along there where you hear in the voices of people that were actually there, and it makes me think that's very similar. I hear they have similar apps in Tahiti. If I could go check those out, or, a little farther away than Hawaii. But no, I think it's a great idea.
As a matter of fact, I'm going next week, so.
That's what I was afraid you'd say.
Just some industry research. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Lydia. So if we can move on to 9F, future agenda items. Do any of the board members have a request at this time for any future agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 9G, which are our 2 upcoming meetings. So our regularly scheduled CTA Board of Directors meeting will be right here in this room, May 10th, Monday at 4 p.m. And then we have our CTA Fiscal 22 budget hearing at 4 p.m. on May 24th. So just want to make sure no conflicts for any of the board members on those 2 meeting dates.
No?
Okay.
With that, we'll move on to agenda item 10, board comments or announcements, requests for information. Would any board member? Board member Rader?
The Bobby Rader for the record. I just want to make a comment that I think the Forbes #1 rating is due to this team's excellent work, and congratulations. It's really exciting.
Any other comments or requests for information?
Yeah,
Board
just-
member Giammi?
Yeah, I just was going to mention that the city manager and the board of supervisors provided some input to the city manager, and we're working on, as you know, the state is turning control of the pandemic over to local governments, and so we're putting together a plan. The city manager will put that together. It has to get approved by the state, and then based on their comments, it'll come back to the board. And I think it's the April 1st meeting or the second meeting in April that we're going to finalize that. Probably the. Were you not listening?
Nancy, he's your boss, one of 5.
The recovery process, yeah. Okay, so anyway, some of the things that you talked about, James, about what's going to be allowed, what's not going to be allowed, we'll put together in that plan.
And Chair, if I could just, I want to thank Nancy and Stephanie. They've included James as a part of that committee or task force that's coming up with those guidelines, Member Giomi. So we have a seat at the table, which is fantastic. So my thanks to the city and Nancy for including us.
James is a perfect pick. Any other comments or announcements from the board? With that, I'll ask for, the public is once again invited at this time to comment on any matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. Is there any other public comment?
There's no public comment at this time.
Thank you. The last item for discussion is to adjourn. If I could get a motion? Then we are adjourned.